You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Cindy, Executive Director of PugHearts of Houston. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
So I wanted to have you back on the podcast because I've been following you and you have so many pugs that have come in the last month. So I wanted to see if you could give our listeners an update, as well as the people that did not hear the podcast from a few months ago, a little bit about PugHearts.
PugHearts started in 2007 as the rescue for Houston, Texas. We felt like there was a need here. We never anticipated the level of need here. We have grown a lot since 2007. We actually cover most of Texas in the southern Rio Grande Valley, through San Antonio, Houston, part of Dallas, East Texas, southern Louisiana, and Mississippi. And in doing that, our intake numbers have grown double digits every year. Unfortunately, in the last 100 days, we've actually taken in 171 dogs.
That is just insane.
It is an unprecedented number, and nothing could have prepared us for this.
What is going on?
We're seeing a little bit of everything. We're seeing a fair number coming from the shelters, as we normally do. We've had 2 what we refer to as breeder dumps. Breeder dumps are where either a breeder can no longer afford to breed them, or they are in a situation where they're not producing properly anymore. And these are not good breeders. These are your backyard breeders, people selling in Craigslist, the newspaper, the side of the freeway. And the first one was from Temple. There were 5 dogs in that group. The second was probably our most sad. And these were actually dumped at an already overfull shelter in Victoria.
Oh.
And because of that, owner surrenders in a shelter environment are always euthanized first.
Oh, really?
Sadly, in an open intake shelter, they are required to take any dog that comes to them that fit the demographic they serve. Meaning, if you live in their city, you found a dog, you take it to the shelter. They have to take it. So, in that situation, in an already overcrowded shelter, they need to hold the dogs that are looking for their owners rather than the dogs that an owner brought them in because they don't want them anymore. So in order to avoid that decision, the shelter called us and said, we want to give these dogs out to safety. Can you take them? But oh, by the way, it's 3:00. You need to take them today. We close at 6.
Oh, goodness.
So we had about 5 minutes to make a decision to get somebody to Victoria in enough time. And of course, we said yes. We jumped into action, and our amazing volunteer staff jumped in their car and headed for Victoria. Someone closer to Victoria jumped in their car and headed to the shelter. And then they met partway. These dogs were covered in fleas. They're filthy. They've never lived in a home environment. You can tell they are not housebroken. They are terrified of people. But our volunteers stepped up and, we did what needed to be done. Unfortunately, with 171 dogs in 100 days, foster space is a huge deal.
Yeah, right.
So in order to alleviate some of that, we've done a few things. Number one, we had a big foster drive. We need fosters, help us out. And we've added 8 new fosters to the group, which is amazing. We reached out to 2 rescues that we know well, Colorado Pug Rescue and Florida Pug Rescue. And we are doing actually in the process of doing what's called a rescue to rescue transfer. Colorado has already taken 3 puppies that we had taken in from a backyard breeder here in Houston. And those dogs have already made it to Colorado. There are 3 more that we are getting everything together. There's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of making sure they're ready to go. And those dogs will be joining Colorado Pug Rescue within the week. And then we are working with Florida Pug Rescue, and 7 dogs will be transferred to their care. Not only does this relieve some foster space, it allows those rescues that don't really have what their adopters are looking for to take some space off us and then also meet the needs of their adopters. So it's a win-win for the dogs. A hard decision to make. It's very difficult to release a dog that you have put a lot of time and effort into. It's very hard to tell a foster, hey, that dog you love, I'm going to move them to another rescue.
Sure.
But the fosters have been really great. They're, getting them ready. They're writing their letters. And we're making sure that the rescues that are receiving these dogs have all the information that they need. What that leaves thirdly is money. And seems a strange thing to say at this point, but the dogs we're transferring out are already vetted. They're already vaccinated. They're already altered, spayed or neutered. They've had all the testing done, and we know everything we need to know about them and have treated their medical needs. The new ones all, of course, need to be spayed and neutered, vaccinated, have their medical needs met, and all of that is money. In the last 29 days, we've already spent about $30,000 in general medical care. So we've got to find that money. We've got to do fundraisers. We've got to ask people for help. We have to, come up with some kind of a t-shirt. We have to do something to help raise the money that it's going to take. And my guess is that we're going to end up spending somewhere around $60,000 to $75,000 to take care of these 171 dogs and make sure that they're ready for new families.
Wow. So how can I help and the listeners help?
Number one is spread the word. The more people that know that we're in need, the better that's going to be. We can be found at PugHearts.com. There is, of course, a donation button there. If you're on Venmo, as most people seem to be, we are at PugHearts. So we'd be happy to receive donations there. We have an Amazon wish list, so you could go to Amazon and find our wish list and send us items from there. And then if you're in areas that we serve, we're definitely looking for forever homes for these guys. They all deserve it. They've been in really rough circumstances, a lot of them. And we're here to help them learn how to be a family pet and to be loved and appropriate in a house. So we're definitely looking for doctors as well.
Have any of can you send out emails to the local veterinarians to see if they would donate their time?
We have reached out to a few. We have worked with Sugarland Pet Hospital in Sugarland, Texas for the last 16 years. And in that, they have done the intake on all 171 dogs. So all of these dogs have been seen initially.
Okay.
There's a fair number of heartworm positives in this group. The way that we do heartworm treatment, those will go to treatment in about 90 days. We like to get all of their health information, current health needs treated, get them in a better spot of weight and skin infections cleared, dental issues cleared, and make them as healthy as possible before we do heartworm treatment. Boosters are going to be done in 30 days because they've all had their initials. And so now it's really just kind of working through all of those needs and those challenges to get them done. Sugarland Pets Hospital has 6 vets on staff, and they are our primary source of vet care. And because they've now seen each of these dogs already, and bless them, they worked just as hard as we did for the last 100 days.
Sure.
So we'll continue working through that with them and get them what they need.
And so, do you still need more foster?
Always need more fosters. I would rather have fosters that have only 1 dog than fosters that have 3. It's a lot easier for a family to say yes if they know that it's 1 dog and it may only be a little while. Fosters have to take time off from fostering for many reasons. Maybe school's starting, they're traveling, someone's ill, they're caring for a family member, or they just need a break. All of those things make our foster numbers vary, and so adding to that foster group is an amazing way to help a dog.
So who do people contact if they would like to foster?
If you are interested in fostering or have additional questions for us, you can reach out at info@pughearts.com. That's INFO at PugHearts.com.
Well, I certainly appreciate everything that you are doing and your volunteers. And if there's anything we can do to help you, please reach out.
Thank you to you, and thank you to your listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.